This is Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum.
Well, when you're selling, you got to know who your buyer is and you got to know how to market to them. I do.
And Dan Keller, mortgage expert with New American Funding.
Hey, rates are important, but strategy matters more than ever.
For the next hour, you'll learn impactful insider information as Christian and Dan teach about the ins and outs of Seattle's real estate market. Now, here's Christian and Dan.
Hello, and welcome to Seattle Real Estate Radio here on KKOL 1300 AM. This is your host, Christian Nossum. I am the founder of the Awesome Nossum Group, a local real estate company, founder of Awesome Nossum Group at Wilson Realty Exchange, I should say. And you know what? Dan is gone, but Ray Charles is here today.
Yes. Hello.
I say Ray Charles because
Georgia.
he stole my black sunglasses, and he looks like Ray Charles sitting across from me with the microphone in his face.
If people could see this, it's the Seattle
skyline on the sides.
Exactly.
I know. So we have, in place of Dan Keller, we have the one and only Les Cutting.
Yes, but today I'm going to go by Doug.
Oh, is that your radio name?
My radio name today
is Doug.
DJ Doug.
DJ Jazzy Doug.
Yes, DJ Jazzy Doug.
Yes, so yeah. Yes. Anyways, Les, not Doug. I want to say Doug now, even though his name is Douglas, but he goes by Les. Les Cutting works with me. He is a fellow real estate agent here in Seattle, and we have a lot of fun together. And actually kind of glad that Dan's gone so we can kind of mix it up, have some fun, and just talk about more of the buying and selling process and what's going on in the market right now. So,
woohoo!
Yeah.
Stuff that I actually know about.
Exactly.
All right.
Because you don't know about mortgages. That's not our side.
That's Dan. That's all him.
That's all Dan. That's all Dan. So thanks for coming on. I know it was kind of short notice. Dan wasn't feeling well or something. I don't know what he was doing. Yeah. So thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. You've bailed me out a few times when I've been on vacation and we had the show. So
that's what I'm here for. You know what? I need a little soundbite that has my name on it. I feel like I feel enough that I need one.
Yeah. Well, we can do this for you. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you.
There you
All
go.
right.
Does that make you feel better?
Yeah.
All right. So we got a good show today. So we actually have a plumber from Craftsman Plumbing coming on, and we were talking about him before we came on air. And he actually has some pretty interesting things and some pretty amazing tips that I never even knew about. And I've worked with a lot of plumbers in the past. So,
do share. Well, I guess we have to wait.
We will. That's called the teaser.
Oh, okay.
I sound like I know what I'm doing, and I don't.
Right.
Anyways, so before we get started, I want to talk about this article that just came out in the Seattle Times.
Talk about it.
Seattle being the fastest growing city in America. Did you see that?
Don't say.
Yeah.
From July 1st, 2015 to July 1st, 2016, Seattle had a net gain of nearly 21,000 people.
Mm-hmm. That's 57 people a day. So we've been saying for a while now, we have 40 people moving to Seattle per day, and we only have 12 housing units coming on per day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need to up that up from 40 to 57 people a day.
Wow, that's crazy.
It is crazy. And that means that it's 3.1% population increase from over that 1 year period, which is actually insane because that's including the 50 most populous cities in the U.S.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so we're not talking about little tiny city. I almost said something bad there. Tiny city in rural America. We're talking about
not
the
like
50.
Pullman.
Yeah, not like Pullman, where you went to school. We're talking about the 50 most largest cities in the U.S. We had by far the largest increase, and that was the first time that we've added this many people since the post-gold rush boom years, way back in the day.
Back in the day.
Way back in the day. We've never grown this fast. We've never had this many people living here. And to put that into context, this is just the second time since the start of the decade that one of the 50 largest cities exceeded a 3% growth rate. It's only the second time ever.
Wow.
And Austin hit that mark back in 2012. They were the only other city to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, but see, Austin, the difference between Seattle and Austin, I was just talking about this with someone the other day. Clearly, two different states. But Austin, and I've talked with agents down there before, because that market is very somewhat similar to us. They have a lot of tech growth, a lot of jobs.
Austin doesn't even seem like it
Should be in Texas.
It's a
completely different.
Yeah.
It's like another world down there.
Yeah, it's weird.
But the thing about Austin is that they can spread, and they are. They're just spreading out. Seattle, we can't do that. We're restricted by mountains, water. You know, we don't have a lot of land.
What about the Growth Management Act?
And the Growth Management Act.
Boom, I know a little something.
Yes, you do. Yes,
All
you
right.
do. So you're a smart man. So in Washington, the state back in, I think it was 94, correct me if I'm wrong, 92, 94, somewhere in there, the state created something called the Growth Management Act. And what that stated was each major city in the state had to create this growth management plan of how they were going to add more people to each city, but not spread. They didn't want urban sprawl, where it's just, you know, kind of like Lake City or Aurora, how there's commercial buildings and then they're all like 2 stories, kind of tall, boxy, kind of like LA is, honestly.
Right.
And growing up there, you would know that.
Yeah.
But kind of how that is, they didn't want that to happen. They wanted more dense populations.
Yeah.
Which actually is, this is another stat that goes right into that. We are now the 10th most densely populated city in the U.S.
Jeez.
Yeah. So the Growth Management Act stated basically they put artificial borders around every city, and they made every city come up with a plan on how to fit more people into these artificial borders, so these small areas.
So you could build up, not out.
Yep,
so
exactly.
vertically, not horizontally. I
Yeah.
just almost filled my water.
Yeah, so they basically wanted to increase density, but in a smart way.
Right.
And I think this was one of the smartest kind of land use plans that the state has come up with in a long time.
Right.
And the way that a lot of the cities went about planning is they said, okay, well, we know that the light rail's coming. Let's create more density around these light rail stations, which is brilliant because that's where you need the people to be so they don't have to drive or
Well,
anything
that
like
one area on, where is it, 185th?
in Shoreline.
In Shoreline. That's going to be a crazy area in the next few years.
Yeah.
Because now it's just a little neighborhood with those old homes. But once they start knocking those down and start actually building those, you know, up to 7 stories? Is it?
Yeah.
Up to 7 stories. It's going to be a whole different
Yeah.
vibe
So
over
if
there.
you don't know what he's talking about, in Shoreline, there's already the station that's going to go in there, 185th and I-5. It's going to be on the east side of I-5. That neighborhood right now is a very sleepy neighborhood of just like older post-World War II homes, kind of the cinder block homes. There's not a lot of there's really no commercial or anything there.
Right.
It's just a little neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they rezone that entire area to go up to 7 stories tall, 70 feet tall, because they want that density in that area. So it's going to change over the next 5-10 years.
Yeah.
That whole area is going to look completely different.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that I love working with you about because we kind of go, okay, well, where's the next big hot neighborhood? And that's one of the hot ones that we are kind of targeting because of all the growth that is going to happen there.
Yeah. I feel like that area was pretty hot at the beginning of the year, and I feel like now it's kind
cooled
of
off a little.
off just
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Not as
Which-
much going on.
Which
It's
means
interesting.
there might be some deals to be had there, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hearing that or feeling that same thing because I really haven't seen a lot come up there.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen a lot of huge price increases there either.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe we need to pay attention to that a little more.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Put my glasses back on.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Ray Charles.
So what else is going on in your life, man? Little one, she celebrated her 6th birthday.
Yeah, Avalie had her 6th birthday, Memorial Day weekend. Surprised her. Went down to the Great Wolf Lodge.
You didn't invite me.
I didn't
Thanks.
invite you. I know.
Thanks.
You know, a single guy. I didn't really want. Well, not. I guess not single. He had a girlfriend, but I didn't think he'd want to go down to a water park with a bunch of families.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I saw all your barbecue pictures.
Yeah. I threw down.
You were definitely, and they look pretty dang amazing.
Yeah, I didn't tell you that Dexter ate 2 of my ribeyes, though.
Ah,
I just left them out, and I was like, wait, did I put these on the grill? And I come back, and I'm like, nah, I didn't put them on the grill. He's sitting in the corner, just licking his lips. I'm like, you got me. Jeez.
Dexter is not his child; that is his dog.
It's my fur baby.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep. So this weekend, this coming weekend, we have Avalie's birthday party
Nice.
because
I just dropped cupcakes off to your house.
Yes, I know. I am excited about that. Yeah. So Dan's wife, Jenny Cookies, she makes amazing bakery stuff. We've talked about it numerous times on the show before, but yeah. So she did maybe a month ago. She had Moana show up at her bakery. And there was like...
Wait, what's Moana? Like
Moana's
Disney character?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she showed up at the bakery.
I'm so old now.
And I think there was... Well, you don't have kids. You're not old. I'm older than you are. She showed up, and there were probably 500-600 kids that were in line waiting to meet Moana and buy cookies. And so Jenny made all these Moana-themed baked items. And so, yeah, it's kind of cool. So she did the same thing for Avalie's party because it's a Moana-themed party.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
I don't know if you looked at them at all, but that's what they are.
I didn't. I told Shannon. Actually, Shannon called me. And I said, Shannon, I ate a couple. And she's like, no, you didn't. I'm like, no, I'm kidding. I didn't.
You know how to mess with her just as well as I do. We know what it takes. Yeah. So getting back to this article, though, one thing I wanted to say was that Seattle now has hit a milestone. We have the most people ever living in the city limits. We have over 700,000 people now, which we've never had before.
That is insane, but you know what? Traffic would indicate that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you looked at traffic, you would realize that's what's going on. And also, if you looked at light rail ridership, you would realize that's going on because all of the projections that they had were like pretty conservative projections. The actual ridership is like a freaking waterfall going straight up.
Yeah, it shattered that projection.
And they're going to keep going like that.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think they're even talking about even adding a couple more carts to it as well.
I think they're going to have to because they're getting full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think...
Yeah. We got to take a break.
We do got to take a break.
We got to take a break. Oh, man. Music's coming on. All right. So we will come back. We have Dusty Hoyler from Craftsman Plumbing, and he will be talking all about plumbing issues, tips, and tricks, and how to hire a good plumber. So stay tuned for more Seattle Real Estate Radio after the break.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. We're back with more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
Hello, and welcome back to Seattle Real Estate Radio here on KKOL 1300 AM. We are back, and like I said, we got Dusty on. We got Dusty Hoyler. He's worked in the plumbing trade for the last 19 years, and he's dedicated to quality and craftsmanship. And he is the owner of Craftsman Plumbing, and they serve the greater Seattle metro area. And he's going to talk a lot about plumbing today. So, Dusty, thank you very much for your time, for coming in today.
Fantastic.
Oh, I can do that. I can do the little, like, applause. Yeah. There you go.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. It's, when you can find a good plumber that actually wants to educate people, you don't want to let them go. And it's actually really hard to find that because most plumbers are like, I make $90 an hour. I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I don't know why they have a southern accent like I just did. But.
We really, as plumbers, we really have a little bit of a image problem. And so we really try to present ourselves in the most professional way possible so we can start to dispel that image problem that's been created over the years.
Yeah, us real estate agents have a little bit of an image problem as well. Yeah. Little pushy car salesman type, and that's not at all what we do.
Yeah.
Ours is all about education. And so I hear you.
I will say this. I was very impressed with you guys when you guys came over. I was looking for a plumber. So here's background story how we met. Looking for a plumber for some clients. Their toilet had some problems after they closed the house. Reached out to several plumbers. Nobody wanted to help me out. But Dusty and Craftsman Plumbing came out, super professional, did a really good job, and
Yep.
Good.
And that is how we got this connection, and that's why he's on the show today, because so many of the other plumbers, like you were saying, have kind of an image problem. and sometimes it's for real, and sometimes it's not. It's a good reason that they have the image problem, because they won't do a little small job here and there like the one that we had to deal with.
Yeah.
So, why don't you kind of tell me a little bit more about Craftsman Plumbing? So, what do you guys kind of specialize in?
So we really are completely across the board. We really try to focus on residential service plumbing. So, that can be anything from a drippy faucet to a shower valve that doesn't shut off all the way, to a side sewer replacement, repair, or in some situations it makes sense to actually put a liner in.
Yeah.
So you're not digging through landscaping, or some of the side sewers are so deep that it's more cost effective to go with a liner. So so we do that work. We do small commercial stuff as well, like tenant improvement. I'm trying to think. Recently, what we've done a couple coffee shop ads in a small commercial setting where the folks said a new tenant came in and they needed a different setup.
Got it.
Restaurants, we've done a few restaurants, same situation. New tenant comes in, they need a different setup.
Yeah,
floor
move in the
sinks.
kitchen or something like that. And
Gas piping, that's something we do as well.
So that's important for us, because we have a lot of people that they'll have gas at the house, but it's not to the stove.
Yep.
And if they're going to do it to the stove, they also want to add a line to the backyard for a barbecue.
Yep.
And we're like, well, some plumbers do it, not all of them. And you got to know what you're doing when you're doing that, because you don't want the house to blow up. So
Absolutely. And there's one thing that I'll just mention. A lot of people don't know this, but you actually have to have a special gas piping certification in the city of Seattle.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Because I remember talking to a plumber about that years ago, and I believe they said something like that. And they're like, yeah, we can't do it because we don't have the certification in Seattle. I was like, oh.
Yep.
Are there other cities around that have that too, or is it just Seattle? Or
Seattle's the only one I know of. But it's really about protecting the consumer.
Yeah, exactly.
Making sure it's done right.
Yep, which I appreciate. Okay, so what's kind of the most common plumbing issues that you guys come across, or that you commonly have to deal with?
The most common. We run into toilets that are running often, and folks won't know that that's happening until they get an outrageous phone bill.
Or water bill?
Water bill.
Their phone bill is just off the hook. It's somehow tied to their toilet. I don't know how, but they call us and we fix it.
That's right. So, it's I'll give the listeners out there a little trick, plumber trick. If you put, oftentimes you can't even tell that your toilet's running. It's just a real slow trickle, and you might not even see it. You might not even be able to hear it. So if you take some food coloring and just squirt it in the tank portion, and if any of that coloring gets into your bowl, you've got a leaking seal. So that's a good way that a homeowner or consumer can find out, can kind of narrow it down. Because we get calls where somebody has an outrageous water bill, and and they're like, our toilets aren't running. We think maybe there's a leak in the main. And, so a little bit of self-diagnostic
can help save some money. And,
absolutely.
Yeah. I think City of Seattle, I remember as a kid growing up here that the City of Seattle one time, or Seattle City Light, Seattle Public Utilities, with the bill, they mailed out little tablets that were little dye tablets. And they had you put it in your tank for the same reason, to see if it was doing that.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
That's smart.
This was probably 20, 30 years ago that they did this. But, yeah. Yeah, I remember.
How do you remember that?
I don't know. I was a weird kid. I just thought it was kind of cool. I was like, oh, that's how you figure out if your toilet's running. So I knew that trick because of Seattle Public Utilities years ago. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm weird, though. What other tips do you have that can solve any common issues? Do you have any other good ones that you can share with us?
I do. So there's a situation that doesn't get talked about a lot. Everybody wants to solve their own slow drain problem, which is totally fine. However, Drano can be very aggressive on steel and cast iron pipes and copper pipes too. There's a pretty good sized amount of homes in Seattle that were built between, I'm going to say, like the mid 60s up until about the end of the 60s, 70, somewhere in there, when ABS plastic drain pipe became more prevalent. And there are a lot of copper drain lines. And Drano will actually eat, it settles in the bottom of the pipe, and it will eat a line. It looks like a laser shot down the bottom of the pipe. So what happens is people have issues with slow drains, and they don't realize that they have copper, steel, or cast iron pipe. And because it's so aggressive, it will eat through the pipe, and folks go from having a pretty small issue to having a major issue.
Yeah.
They have to open walls and replace piping. So be careful with Drano.
Yeah, I've heard that before
if
as well.
If you have plastic piping, it's not a concern because it won't eat through the plastic. But metal,
It's weird because I would think that Drano would eat through plastic before it would metal, but
yeah,
that's good to know. I heard once that some of the really thick, soft toilet papers are very common or commonly plug up the toilets. So like Charmin, and I've heard a plumber once years and years ago called me and said, yeah, Charmin, the really soft, thick Charmin, we get calls all the time from needing to unplug the line, and they called it a Charmin house. They don't tell them to stop using the Charmin because they get to go out there all the time. But it's just their toilet paper, and that's why they keep getting all these plugs in their sewer line.
I'm learning a lot today.
I know. So I don't know if that's a real thing or not, but it sounds...
Yeah, I haven't actually run into a particular kind of toilet paper. I will say that we have responded to mainline backups that were caused by towelettes.
Oh, yeah.
So they're non.
They say they're flushable,
right?
but they're not actually
They're
flushable.
not.
No.
And we pull those back on the snake
A lot.
So be careful about those. They just really shouldn't be flushed down the toilet.
No, and I don't know how they can actually say that they're flushable because, I mean, I think, again, Seattle Public Utilities had a video that they had out that they just released a couple months ago, and they were showing how if you have toilet paper and water and they, like, swish it around and it disintegrates, and that's how it should do it.
Yep.
And those flushable wipes, they don't disintegrate. They just stay like a flushable wipe.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, that doesn't
Definitely.
work.
No.
And
it's not a
they
good
just cause
situation.
a lot of money for the homeowner and the city as well.
And the utility. Yep. Absolutely.
So, yeah, no fun. All right. Any prevention tips that you got?
Prevention tips. It's good to flush out your water heater once a year.
This is a really good one, too.
And that's something that's, it's just so simple and straightforward that any homeowner can do it. You hook up your garden hose to it, put it out in the yard or down the driveway, give it a good flush for 10 minutes. That takes, the rust that's developed in the bottom of the tank.
All the sediment, yep.
The mineral deposits, and flushes it out. And that will extend the life of your tank.
So you do it once a year.
Once a year.
How long does it take to refill a tank and then get it back up to heat?
So you don't. So to get it back up to heat, depending on if it's gas or electric, probably 30 to 40 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad.
Not bad at all. And you don't actually turn the tank, close the valve. You want that flow to push that sediment through. So you leave the valve on, and you just open up that drain at the bottom
With your hose attached.
with your hose
You
attached.
don't want to burn your feet off.
You don't want to flood your garage.
Yeah.
Or your home.
Yeah, or your home.
And flush that water out into the outdoors, and it takes the sediment with it.
That's awesome. That's a good one. I've heard that once before, too.
So simple.
I think that's something that Jeff, the inspector that we use quite a bit, he talks about that, too, how, you should do this once every year or two. And it really does. It's not hard. I've done it before.
Yeah.
I just got to remember to do it every year. So, let's see. So I know that plumbers are certified through the state.
Yep.
Are there actually plumbers that don't get certified, and why is it so important to get certified? And tell me that in a minute or less before we have to go to break.
Well, let's see. The easiest way to describe it is if you were you know, getting the services of an attorney,
Mm-hmm.
you would want to make sure you had an attorney that had passed a bar exam.
Yes, you
and
would.
was certified to do business, conduct their business. So it's the same thing with plumbing. There are a number of handymen out there and organizations. They're not supposed to do plumbing work, but occasionally they will. We come across that from time to time. So there's kind of two things. One is they're not licensed and bonded to do the work, so the consumer's not protected. And just as if you have an attorney, you want to make sure that you have a professional that has the experience and can provide the quality work.
Awesome. Well, we got to take a quick break. We're going to come right back with more from Dusty at Craftsman Plumbing.
Stay tuned. There's more Seattle Real Estate Radio coming up here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL. We're back with more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
Hello, and welcome back to Seattle Real Estate Radio here on KKOL 1300 AM. We are back with Dusty Hoyler from Craftsman Plumbing. Did I say your name right?
You sure did.
I said it really quick, and I was like, man, did I say that right? Because I think I did, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that is a hard one. It's a unique name. I like it. So over the break, Les was telling me all about how he wants to talk about some improvements and updates that homeowners can do, and also a big issue that we see with a lot of Seattle area townhomes. So, Les, I'm going to let you kind of take off from here.
Well. I have a ton of questions.
I know.
So
hopefully we can get through them.
right. So before we get into all my, handyman questions, how did you get into the industry?
That's a great question. My dad was a plumber.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of was born into it. Two of my uncles are also plumbers, and I actually have two cousins that are plumbers. So when I was a young man, I started working for my dad in the shop on the weekends building prefab, and this is a kind of a funny story. He paid me $1 an hour, and I would work like 10-hour days on Sunday or Saturday. Usually not both, but one day. And I thought I was filthy rich. I got $10. So that's how I got into it.
You've kind of been doing it forever then.
For a good chunk
So
of time.
you're what, 25 years old, because you've been doing it for 19 years, and you started
go
when
with
you were
that.
5.
So when did you branch off? How did you start your own company?
I started my company just over 3 years ago.
Okay.
And, essentially during the downturn, I worked in the commercial building sector since I've lived in Seattle. And during the downturn, there was just no building going on.
Right.
And I was working about 4 months out of the year. And I came to the realization that there are a lot of folks out there that need a good plumber. And there's plenty of plumbing to be done. And I decided to hang a shingle out and go out there and provide absolutely the best services that I can.
Yeah,
and
nice.
we've been doing that for 3 years. So
Nice.
it's really exciting.
And I will say you have pretty dang good Yelp and Facebook and all the other review sites out there, House, all that stuff. You have good reviews. That means that you're doing something right, and
Right.
people aren't pissed off at you. So good job.
Thank you.
All right, so let me get into my questions. So a thing that we run into a lot, older homes, Craftsman's home, they have the galvanized steel.
Yep.
So what do homeowners or new homeowners need to know about galvanized steel, and what's your opinion on it?
Well, it's essentially a ticking time bomb. There's two things that are going to happen, and either one of these two things happening is going to force you to deal with it. Number one, if you can think about it as the inside is slowly rusting shut. So eventually, and it usually happens on the hot side first, because the hot side oxidation is enhanced by the hot water, by the temperature. So essentially, at some point, you're going to have a lack of flow. That's one issue. The other issue is that eventually it's going to rust through and spring a leak, and you're going to have leaking water in your home. So, a lot of folks will realize that that's an issue. It's on the horizon, and they'll decide to have a total repipe done.
Yeah.
And you can either repipe in PEX or copper. The copper is more expensive, the labor is a little bit more, and the materials more. But some folks want that product, and that's what I have in my home. I repiped my home with copper. But PEX is a good product as well. So essentially, either one of those things can be, one is going to be very frustrating because you're not going to have pressure or flow in your shower or your kitchen sink or wherever, your toilet. And then the second issue is just, it can create catastrophic damage. So,
So the good way to tell this, and this is what we kind of tell people when we're showing houses, we'll go down in the basement, and if there's exposed ceilings and you can see the pipes running through, you can tell what kind of pipes they are. If they're galvanized steel, they're kind of the silvery looking pipe. They're not black, that's gas. And they're not copper, because that's clearly copper. And if you start to see the little pinhole leaks, that's a great sign that it's time to replace it. And then if you turn on the water, turn on the sink, flush the toilet, and have the bathtub or the shower running at the same time, and see when you flush the toilet if the water level goes way down. That's the good tip on how to figure out if it's time to redo it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what we do with our clients.
So how much does a repipe generally cost?
It varies depending on, how many bathrooms are in the house, how many fixtures, the layout of the house. Homes that are slab on grade can be pretty difficult. Because we have to open up a lot of walls and ceilings to get that pipe run. The most straightforward homes to repipe are the bungalows with unfinished basement. So most of that piping is exposed to the basement. So, and whenever we do a repipe, we try to get that piping up into the joist space so that down the road, as Seattle continues to grow, space is becoming more and more valuable. And it's really great to be able to finish out those unfinished basements and provide that extra space, or mother-in-law.
So you don't want them to go below the beams. Because then you're losing some ceiling height, which is very valuable in the basement.
So, it could be anywhere from 8,000 to 20,000. It just depends.
Woo!
Yeah, exactly.
That is a pretty penny.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's why when we're showing homes, Les, we got to make sure that our clients are informed on, hey, this is galvanized steel.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Well,
Right.
it means that you might have a big chunk of money coming out of your pocket in the next few years.
Yeah. Well, yesterday, seen quite a few Craftsman older homes in Seattle, and every single one of them had galvanized steel. And they were like, well, how much does that cost? And I'm like, oh, well, talking to a plumber tomorrow. I'll let you know.
I'll let you know.
so yeah. So that's crazy. So we do a lot of townhomes. What's the difference between a closed hydronic system and a open system?
Great question.
All right.
So
You got a lot of great questions, Les. It's like you're smart or something.
Yeah, just a little.
All right, so I know this is a big deal because we do sell a lot of townhomes. So let's educate.
We are seeing a lot of townhomes being built with an open hydronic system. So what that means is there's not a barrier between your heating loop and your domestic hot water. So let's say in the summertime, you leave your heat off for 4 or 5 months. That hot water that's out there, the water that's out there in those heating loops is going to be stagnant. And then the first day you flip your heat on, and this is if you have in-floor hydronic heat.
Yeah, or even in-wall where there's just a fan
with
that's
the fan.
pushing out the heat.
Yep, exactly. Or radiators. When you flip that switch on, that pump turns on, and it pushes all of that stagnant water that's been sitting there for 6-8 months or 4 months, however long, and pushes
Let's be honest. Seattle summer is like a month and a half. So.
That's true. but here's the deal. I don't want to drink my heating water.
No.
And that's the problem. I really would like to see some legislation be passed to outlaw these systems. A lot of the townhome builders, they can save $6 to $8 grand by doing this and kind of taking a shortcut. And the consumers are the ones that really get hurt because they don't oftentimes understand that this is an issue until they've already purchased a home.
So what do you want to look for? Do you want to see an open or a closed?
You want to see a closed system.
Okay.
So you want a double metal barrier between the heating system and the domestic hot water system.
Okay.
And so that can be achieved in a number of ways. There are some combination boilers that have a heat exchanger inside the boiler. There are boilers that just serve the hot hydronic side. And there are some tanks that actually have a coil in the middle, and that's how that essentially you're transferring heat from one loop to the other loop through a heat transfer system. And so you want those systems to be independent of each other and not mixing the water together.
Got it. So how can you tell what kind of system you have if you already own a townhouse, or maybe when we're out showing townhomes?
It can be kind of tricky. If you see oftentimes the heating water will be set to like 140. Now domestic water, it's not, you're not supposed to have it above 120. So you'll see a mixing valve that controls the temperature of the domestic water leaving your kind of mechanical area. That can be a really good telltale sign because your domestic water wouldn't be set that high if it was a separated system. But honestly, it can be tricky. I think the ones that are really hard to identify are the water heaters, the tanks that have the coil inside, because you essentially see these heating ports coming off. Those ports should be identified on the tank as heating outlet and inlet. But honestly, I think the best thing to do is to have a professional come out and have a look at it. And if anybody gives us a call, we'll come out and do a inspection free of charge. So,
whoa!
Nice.
Did I just hear a Seattle Real Estate Radio exclusive offer?
Yeah.
Exclusive.
Wait, hold on. I got to do my radio. Exclusive. There we go.
So that's awesome. So if you do own a townhome or you're going to buy a townhome, you really should know if you're getting an open or a closed system. And if you have any question at all, definitely give Dusty and his team a call at Craftsman Plumbing. I'll give you the number right now. 206-855-6100.
That's it.
That's it. 855-6100.
6100.
Actually, let me-
6110.
610-1100. 11. I can talk. Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, it's not 6100. It's 6110. Yep.
Oh, okay. 6110. So 206-855-6110. So Craftsman Plumbing specializes in plumbing problems, diagnosis and checkup, tankless and gas water heater installation and repair, repiping, installation and upgrades, common repairs, which we have had help from them by, leaks, sewer backup, and more. If you're looking for a good, reputable, and honest plumber, give Dusty and his team at Craftsman Plumbing a call, 206-855-6110, 206-855-6110, or visit them on the web at craftsman-plumbing.com. That's craftsman-plumbing.com. You can definitely check out all their reviews on Yelp, Houzz, Facebook. They are all over the place. They are very honest. I highly recommend them. They have helped us out of some issues in the past. And thank you, Dusty.
I have a quick question.
Go for it.
Difference between tankless and hot water tank heater.
Tankless, yeah. So,
You gave him like 3 seconds to answer.
so
I wanted to get it in.
Obviously, a tank is
It's a big tank.
Big tank,
Right.
And tankless is generally fueled by gas.
Okay.
So you need to make
Well, that's
sure
all the time we got. I'm sorry, Dusty.
next time.
We'll explain after the break.
Stay tuned. There's more Seattle Real Estate Radio coming up here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL. We're back with more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
Hello, and welcome back to Seattle Real Estate Radio here on KKOL 1300 AM. Man, Les.
Hey. It's my Fat Albert voice. I don't know if anyone knows who that is.
I
but-
do know who Fat
okay,
Albert
you
is.
do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Anyway, that was funny. Man, Dusty's a smart dude.
He is good people. I'm glad I found him.
Yeah.
I mean, he did awesome work for our clients. Congrats to Ben and Emily.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out on closing. But other than that, I mean, really honest, really good guy. And he's for our clients, anyone who's interested, if you're getting a townhome, he will come out there for free and give you an estimate.
Or not
on
even
whether-
just an estimate. Just tell you.
on whether you have an open or closed hydronic system.
Yeah, which is a big deal because you don't want to be drinking your heating water.
Right.
It's not healthy.
That doesn't sound good.
No, it's not
Yeah.
good. It's not good.
No
But
good.
but I've seen it, and it is really hard to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for us to be educated enough to know what we're looking
Right.
at, because there's like 14 different pipes down there when you're using the hydronic heat,
Uh-huh.
and you got to be able to tell how they're separated, if it's open, if it's closed, what's going on. And
Right.
we're just lonely real estate agents.
Yeah. Well, let's touch back on the hot water tank heaters, the
Yeah.
tankless versus the tank itself.
Yeah, so we asked him this off air during the break just now, because obviously he had to go do his actual job, not just talk on the radio with us.
Yeah, he had enough of us.
No, he actually had work he had to do. So he was telling us off air that switching from a water tank to a tankless water heater can actually, one, save you money, but two, definitely save you space. So he was talking about how some people in Seattle, especially, that maybe they have a smaller home, not just Seattle, but anywhere that has maybe a smaller home, and they have like the water tank that's maybe near the kitchen or in the bathroom in a closet. And what they're doing is they're taking it out of there and they're swapping it out with a gas tankless, and they're putting it on the outside of the house. So what that does is it totally freeing up a whole nother closet in a house where, as everyone knows, having closet space is a huge deal.
Yeah, I like having a spot to put my clothes in.
Yeah, it's usually helpful.
Yeah, rather than my floor or my desk.
Or your desk.
Yeah,
Or having a pantry where you didn't have one before
right.
because the water heater's taking up a big closet.
You know what? I never understood that. That's one of the things that annoys me the most about going to older homes. Like, you go into the closet, you're like, oh wow, and then it's like, oh wait, hot water tank heater. And you're like,
Yeah.
Who thought of this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the
Blows
place
my
to
mind.
put it, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah. He was saying that most of the time you want to go with a gas tankless over an electric one. Electric tankless is a little tough because you actually have to have a big enough gauge wire going from the electrical panel to that spot.
It could be a little spendy too.
yeah, and
because
it
if
could-
you have to replace the panel and all the electrical in the
Mhm.
house, so I mean the cost, probably is
Yeah.
worth it. at
Yeah,
that point.
and a lot of times in condos, so a lot of people in condos, they'll have the little tiny 30-gallon small, they call it the little boy or small boy, which is kind of a funny name for a water heater, but that's what they call them. And they're just super short, and they're sitting under the kitchen counter. And those, I mean, you take 2 showers or you do the laundry once, and there's no more hot water. So people want to swap that out in condos a lot of time, and it's really difficult. So if you're going to do that and you don't have gas, definitely make sure you're talking to someone that knows their stuff, because not only maybe you can fit the tankless water heater, but you don't want to cause a fire or some electrical issue because you don't have a big enough
Right.
wire going to your tankless water heater.
Call Dusty is basically what we're trying to tell you. Call him.
That is what we're trying to say.
With Craftsman.
Craftsman Plumbing. With the phone number that I said incorrectly on air. That was fun.
Yeah.
I said it correct at the very end, but I'll say it again just to make sure. Craftsman Plumbing, 206-855-6110.
Okay.
Or craftsman-plumbing.com. So, yeah.
Let's talk about this mega yacht. What's
Yeah.
going on?
Have you seen this thing?
It is huge.
Yeah, so I'm sure you guys have seen it too. If you've driven through downtown Seattle at any point over the last week or so, you have seen the most ginormous yacht you've ever seen in your life, probably.
You can see it from I-5.
You can see it from I-5, and it's parked all the way on the Queen Anne side on Westlake, way over there, kind of close to the Fremont Bridge, Aurora Bridge. I guess it's the Aurora Bridge that it's kind of close to. The thing is massive. And
Yeah,
it's-
so it's 305 feet long. It is the second largest luxury yacht ever to dock on Lake Union.
Yeah.
Its estimated cost to build it was 140 to 150 million.
That's insane.
That's a lot of dollars.
That's a lot of money.
That's
for a
buku
boat.
dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did a little digging on it too, and with a boat like that, it generally costs about 10% to maintain that every single year.
10% of the building price?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
It's like $15 million
Who
just to
owns it?
maintain
Who owns it?
This Mexican mining billionaire named Alberto Baleares. I'm probably butchering his name.
Okay.
Never heard of him, but he's a billionaire from Mexico. He is not actually on board at the moment, but don't worry, his crew of only, 24 people, they are on board, maintaining it, upgrading it, doing all their stuff. So that yacht is insane. It has 2 different pools, not just one, but 2 pools on a boat.
Wow.
A helipad, 8 suites, 12 crew cabins, and it's called the Mayan Queen 4. So I don't know if he's on wife number 4 and this is the 4th boat or what. Yeah. It is actually the 37th largest yacht in the world.
And if you haven't seen it, you need to get your eyes checked.
Yeah. If you have not seen it, if you've been on I-5 going through East Lake, between Capitol Hill and East Lake, and you have not seen it, you're not looking very hard because it's pretty obvious that it's right there. Yeah, it is massive.
Yeah.
Every time I drive by, I'm like, oh my God, that thing's huge. I kind of want to go over to Westlake and walk past it just to see the scale in person.
You know what we should do? We should go downstairs to the Nosh truck and have them drive us over there. That's what we should do. And then we eat fish and chips while we watch the yacht.
While we look at the yacht.
Yeah.
If you haven't, Nosh, we're going to give you some free publicity. Nosh is a food truck, and they have amazing fish and chips that are literally the size of your forearm. Not even joking.
And it has they have this green pea mint side. It sounds weird, but it's delicious.
It is delicious.
Yeah.
And the fries aren't bad either, which is surprising because you think they'd be super greasy and gross, but they're actually delicious. Yeah. But they sit right outside our radio station on radio show days, and it's delicious.
Yeah.
If you see it around, you should definitely flag it down and buy some.
Yeah.
Or get out of your car and actually go to the window and order it like a normal person. Don't flag them down on the road like I just said. Hey, pull over! I want to buy some fish and chips.
Right.
Yeah, that's probably not smart.
Yeah. So other than that, what else do we have going on? Any new listings we have coming up, which I probably should know about?
I think you actually know of all the listings that we have going on right now.
Okay.
The only one that we have is a beautiful. Actually, so I'll give Erica DiMiele another shout out. She was a guest. She has been on Hoarders a couple times at this point. She is a hoarding specialist. So one of her clients had a home that she helped clean out, and they are not living there anymore, and they have to sell the house. And so being that she is now considered a friend and past radio show guest and all that stuff, she referred them over to us, and we're helping them get that house sold. And it's in situations like that, if you know of anyone that does have any sort of mental illness where they're hoarding or something, and you want to get them help, you definitely need to reach out to Erica DiMiele. She's with SteriClean, formerly with Catharizo Organizing, but now she's starting up a new company called SteriClean. She's been featured on Hoarders 2 different times, and she really knows her stuff. She is.
Yeah, she does.
She does. Not only does she know her stuff, she has compassion.
Right.
Which is huge in that situation.
Right, because that's a tough situation.
Super tough. It's super tough. It's not fun either.
Yeah.
So if you have family members or know any neighbors like that maybe they need some help, she's good at helping.
Yeah.
And again, she has the compassion, which is huge. So that is all we got. One thing we do have coming up. We have another beers and home buying class coming up on this Wednesday, June 7th at 6 o'clock at the Cedar Room in Ballard. So go to beersandhomebuying.com and check it out. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.
Or for more information, visit SeattleRealEstateRadio.com. That's SeattleRealEstateRadio.com. And be sure to tune in again next Monday at 3 for more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller, right here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL.